Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another fine evening filled with drama. As I said earlier, I think that we've reached the rule of threes limit, where we've done 3 stories that are the same. I was predicting something unusual after the 3rd story, since these were quite short, and the game is, to my knowledge, not particularly short. So we finally have an option. We get to explore the house. We can go outside the rose garden, down to the cellar, entrance, the fireplace, the den. I'm gonna just start exploring. I don't know where I'd like to go personally. Like, what would call to me? What calls to me the most? If I mouse over these, I definitely get something. And our dialogue's actually preserved when we save. That's quite nice. So where would we like to go first? I'm gonna go to the den. Let's see what happens if I click that. We're going off to the den. Scent of cigarette smoke lingered in the den. However, the room was silent. Not even an echo of the men's chattering remained. Nothing was moving. Billiards balls. There was no one present to strike the balls. They rolled spontaneously around the table. The paths they traced across the surface were rough and erratic, contrasting that of when the former master had held the cue. The spheres collided awkwardly with one another, not a single one coming close to the pockets. Is this a personal attack? I'm feeling like someone's getting called out. Alright, as an experiment, you pulled a ball off the table. In response, the paths of the balls became even clumsier. Having lost one of their targets, they began bouncing aimlessly off the cushioned walls of the table. As you stared intently at the table, a man's voice rang out from somewhere in the room. Spinning around, you see the silhouette of a man. However, you could not make out what the man was saying. The man thrust his finger at the table and appeared to want you to return the ball. You reluctantly placed the billiards ball back on the table. When you do, the balls resumed, endlessly colliding with one another, never landing in any of the pockets. It is his personal version of hell. He's trapped playing a game of billiards for all eternity, except he can never land a shot in the pocket. He always misses. You looked up to find the shadow gone. Having determined that the maid was not going to appear in the den, you exited the room, making your way back into the corridor. Can we explore all the places? Process of elimination. We can call for the maid if we want to. I think exploring is kind of fun, though. Let's go to the entrance. Can we leave? Alright. You make your way to the mansion's entrance. There was no one around, not any source of light. Groping through the darkness, you found the front door sealed shut with a heavy bar. You pressed against the bar, but it remained firmly in place. The door did not budge either. It seemed you could not leave the mansion. Burn the witch. Crucify the impure. When you made to step away from the entrance, you heard a muffled voice. You looked around, but were unable to determine the source of the voice. Nor could you be sure whom you'd heard either. Giving up on finding anything at the entrance, you decided to head somewhere else. Okay, so that was interesting. I think... let's go to the library. I like the library. I like libraries. This place probably has a good selection of books to read. The smell of dusty books filled the air of the library. You approached a shelf to examine one of the books. Oh, and suddenly an avalanche of them came falling to the floor. You stared blankly at the mountain of books. They'd fallen down on their own, but they showed no signs of putting themselves away. Since no one else was there to do it, you began placing the books back on the shelf. 1, 2, 3, a dozen. And as soon as you'd gotten them all back up, they came crashing down again. You wished very much to implore the maid's assistance, but she didn't appear to be in the area. Pretending you hadn't seen anything, you made your way back into the hallway. I'm sorry. I regret going to the library now. Let's go to the fireplace, where we started. You made your way to the room with the fireplace. What remained of the fire crackled weakly, leaving the room in a veil of darkness. You remembered that you'd awoken here. Out of sheer curiosity, you sat down in the rocking chair you'd been asleep in. Creak. It was as soothing as a cradle to a baby, and in short order you found your consciousness drifting from your grasp. Wait, I didn't want to pass out. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? Bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs. They can be near the fire. Oh, you're such a cynic. That's okay. Say, do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? He remembered something. Your eyes slowly slid open. Fragments of a pleasant dream lingered in the back of your mind. The crackling of a fire, the taste of warm wine. However, there was nothing pleasant about the fireplace sitting before you. No warm, crackling fire, really? In fact, the brisk air of the room overpowered the remnants of embers left there. Chill ran down your spine. Afraid you might freeze stiff if you stayed there much longer, you resumed your exploration of the mansion. I want to go to the master bedroom at some point, but wandering the house is kind of fun too. Let's go to the cellar. That terrible place. When you descended into the cellar, you heard beast-like snarling. Along with it came a sour odor and the sound of ripping flesh. You couldn't see the beast, but that didn't make it any less unpleasant. You made to retreat from the cellar. Before you could, a shadowy creature lunged at you. You reflexively squeezed your eyes shut. And after several moments, you opened your eyes again to find a silhouette of a man standing in the place of the beast. You and the shadow stared at one another for some time. You asked the shadow a question, and the shadow responded. Presumably in Japanese. However, you had no idea what it said. The shadow seemed to be trying to communicate something to you, but trying to make sense of something you could not understand was pointless. Having no reason to remain in the cellar any longer, you made your way back upstairs. Okay. I assume we'll get similar in the Rose Garden. Look, your head's covered in roses. We're going flashback. Got petals on the book. This isn't mine. I can't afford to. Nell and someone else. I forget who. Though you could hear the sound of children laughing, you couldn't see them. Regardless, their cheerful voices warmed your heart. You decided to linger in the garden for some time, and along with the children's laughs, wafted a sweet fragrance. The wind blew, whisking petals up into the air. It was an enchanting sight. But after a while, the roses began to wilt. You could no longer hear the children's voices either. A young man stood alone in the withered rose garden. As you drew nearer, you called out to the youth, but the young man did not appear to notice you. He merely stood there, staring vacantly across the garden. The youth muttered something in a lifeless voice. It's not what I wanted. I just wanted a normal, peaceful life. I can't bear being alone. I can't take this. Someone get me out of here. Oh God. Tell me I'm not the bad one here. He tried to call out to the young man several times, but he didn't seem to hear you. He simply continued muttering to himself. Is everyone just like in their personal purgatory? Maybe the stories haven't actually ended. They're all happening at the same time. And are yet to reach their conclusion. Before long, the youth's shadow faded into nothing. Unable to bear the chilly air any longer, you stepped back into the mansion. It's cold everywhere. Right. Stained glass window time. I wonder if the width of the text blocks is actually scaled to the... This is originally Japanese, maybe? Text, as the words go to, when moused over, didn't do anything. You had to do the center of the text. You approached the stained glass window. An array of pews was arranged facing the stained glass. There seemed to be an air of tranquility about the room. You sat down in one of the pews and stared quietly forward for some time. For a moment you felt like you were on the verge of recalling something, but ultimately your memory never managed to surface. The maid did not appear to be there. Where could she have gone? You decide to resume exploring the mansion. Oh right, that's not how you do things. I keep thinking right click, but like isolate. Let's go to the master bedroom. See if the maid's in the last place. After all, we have a key. You inserted the key you'd been given into the door's keyhole. With a twist, the door opened. The master bedroom was shrouded in darkness, much like every other room in the mansion. It had evidently been left unused for some time. The air in the room was stale and forlorn. Master? A voice seemed to ring out from somewhere. Come on, get up. Up with you. Master? Oh shoot, we went to an adventure by ourselves. See? What did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Without warning, your whole world took on bright, vivid colors. Light streamed through the window, illuminating a well-lived bedroom. A woman's silhouette stood before you. Wait a second. Did you hide under your bedspread? Get out of there. Oh, but Master, you agreed I could open the windows. Don't worry. I've put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best parts of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of the leaves. You tried to call out to the silhouette, but it did not respond. Reaching out for her, your hand simply passed through her body. It didn't seem to be you she was speaking to. Perhaps you were looking at a scene from some other period of time. Am I being as pushy as I feel right now? Well, I completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. Let's see. I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible, but I'm beginning to get a better idea. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, but can be surprisingly playful. What else? What else? You have a pretty difficult personality, too. Now hear me out here. That's not everything. You gave me a chance to talk, and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice, too. We agreed we would live together, not just in the same house, so we got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me, too. This is just the beginning, after all. We got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other now. Let's not waste time, then. What do you say we do something today we haven't been able to do before? Where should we begin? I know, we can get this place cleaned up. Now there's some actual light in here. We can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust, all over the place. I hate dust. Everyone hates dust. Nobody wants to clean it. Nobody wants to dust, but nobody likes dust. When the woman's shadow faded away, the master bedroom transformed back into its old dreary state. Just say my name. You were unsure how to describe the urge welling up within your breast. You could not say her name. You stood unmoving in the master bedroom for some time, but it didn't appear anything else was going to happen. You decided to head somewhere else. Alright. Well. Wait, we can go to the window again? Does the window offer something different the second time? You returned to the room with the stained glass window. You'd searched throughout the mansion but had no luck finding the maid. You felt somewhat tired and were not quite sure whether it was physical or mental exhaustion. You had little interest in doing more moving about. Taking a seat in one of the pews, you gazed up at the stained glass. Staring solemnly down back at you was the archangel said to weigh the souls of the deceased. Perhaps he was trying to weigh your soul. All for the maid. Master? Master? Oh, there you are, Master. You gave me quite the scare. Returning from the third door, you disappeared without a word. Why, it was I who disappeared? That's quite strange. I didn't go anywhere as far as I'm aware. Nevertheless, I'm glad to have found you. I would have been at a complete loss for what to do if I'd been separated from you yet again. I did indeed say that when you first arrived. I've been waiting for your return for a very long time. For centuries, as a matter of fact. That would make me a ghost, then, you say? I'm very much not a ghost. Would I be able to hold your hand if I were? We could both be ghosts. Saying this, the maid took your hand. It was cold enough to send a shudder down your spine, and completely devoid of life. Though as chilling as it may have been, you still took comfort in the feeling of her hand in yours. The maid looked down at you with gentle eyes. After a few moments of silence, she sat down beside you. The stained glass is quite beautiful, is it not? Every time I see it, it brings a tranquility to my heart. A dreadful, deep-rooted curse afflicts this mansion. However, this room is the one exception. Can you feel the purity that hangs in the air, Master? Yes. What is it, Master? You are correct. The stained glass window had been shattered and was not present in the time period of the previous tale. I wonder, perhaps it's because the mansion we are in presently resides in a realm separate from the real world. We're in a world constructed from myriad memories and histories. I'm sure that when you regain your old self, Master, the mansion too shall be restored to its original state. Do try and remember, alright? I'll try, okay? I don't know what's going on, but I'll try to remember. Oh yes. Where did you go in my absence, Master? I see. So you explored the mansion then. And did you find anything noteworthy? Memories? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Peculiar. As a servant of this house, I pride myself in being aware of most everything present within these walls. I wonder whose memories they could be. The key to the master bedroom? Why did I throw away the key? I beg your pardon. You say a painting told you? You could see the perplexity on the maid's face. I've never seen her make such an expression before. I know nothing of any key. Oh, Master, you shouldn't tell jokes meant to cause others discomfort. Talking painting, you say? Seem to have a rather vivid imagination. Maybe you can tell the next tale, Master? I'm only teasing. Now, that was a nice break, but we should get moving. The tale I'm about to show you is the last of the mansion's memories. I'm certain you'll remember yourself after seeing it. 4 feet. The final door is not far. I don't know how big the mansion is. It may not be that large. It might just be like, well, I guess it was big enough for a middle class nobility, right? So it's not tiny. Final door's not far. Please do not let go of my hand. Holding your hand, the maid led you to the far end of the room. Crossing beneath the stained glass window, a metal door came into view. Our destination lies at the top of these stairs. There we will find one last door. Pushed open the metal door, revealing a long, long spiral staircase. Up or down? Up, it looks like. Colors are bright. Like there's a bit of illumination here. It'll be a bit of a walk, so let's be on our way. Please do watch your step. This is called an observation tower. Normally towers such as this were built in castles or churches, so it's rather strange for there to be one in a mansion. The last door I wish to show you, Master, resides at the top of this tower. Rectangular windows were carved out of the stone in several locations along the way up the spiral staircase. You attempted to peer out one of the windows, but all you could see was a thick layer of fog. Perhaps the maid's suggestion that the mansion did not presently reside in reality was in fact correct. With each step upward, you found yourself gripped by an indescribable sense of anxiety. Feeling somewhat resembled irritation or annoyance. Sensing this, the maid tightly gripped your hand. There's nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. It's all in the past. No matter what may happen, so long as you do not let go of my hand, you have nothing to fear. You and the maid continued climbing the stairs, up and up, around and around, marching ever nearer the supposed final door. High up into the tower, as the light from below grew distant, a rotten wooden door came into view. Patches of what appeared to be blood stained the surface, and holes had been bored into it with sharp objects of some sort. You heard a scream from far below where no one should have been. Kill the witch! Kill the witch! Kill the witch! Burn her! Burn her! Burn her! You were struck with fear. The next moment the maid opened the door. And then... you slowly descended into the dark. Door number 4. What year? 2000? 1099. We went back 500 years from before the first one, because the first one was like 1607? Yo, what up, my man? Set it on a pot. Set it on. Also pour water into it. Gather the pieces thereof into it. Even every good piece, the thigh and the shoulder. Fill it with the choice bones. Take the choice of the flock and burn also the bones under it. Badland. And make it boil well. Let them seethe the bones of it therein. Thus saith the Lord. Woe to the bloody city. Pot whose scum is therein, whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece. Let no lot fall upon it. The white girl's running. I'm assuming she's running. They did. Where is she? Where did she go? She came down this way. I'm sure of it. Find her. Find her. And burn her. Burn the witch. Burn the witch. Burn the witch. Burn her. Burn her. Burn her. Then will I leave thee upon the land. I will cast thee forth upon the open field. Will cause all the fowls of heaven to remain upon thee, and I will fill the beasts of the earth with thee. I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains, and fill the valleys with thy height. I will water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountains. And the rivers shall be full of thee. And when shall I put thee out? I will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land. I seem to have lost them. Now, where am I? Where should I go from here? What am I to do? Darkness spreads as far as the eye can see. Not a ray of light shines down upon me. All that strokes my cheek are tendrils of darkness. It's an interesting start. I was expecting forward, not backwards, but again, we established a pattern of moving forward with 3 sequential jumps forward. Oh, at least 100 years. So going backwards more than 100 years for round 4 is appropriate, right? Every passing day, every fading hour, my world is engulfed in ebony. There exists no kindness in this shadow, only solitude. I lost track of how long I've been on the run, wandering aimlessly, lost until I arrived in this dark forest. I no longer have anywhere to go. I mean, this is an interesting start to the story. I think this is a decent hook. I think a couple of the stories really struggled with having like a very solid hook individually. I think the first one did a pretty good job of that. The second one, third ones were worse. Third one, yeah, I think the second and third were worse in terms of like immediately hooking you in. This one seems to be doing a better job. Or maybe I'm just in a better mood today, who knows? O Father who art in heaven, I kneel to thee within my heart and ask of thee thy blessing. O Father who art in heaven, I ask of thee to shine thy light upon me and show me the way. Please have mercy upon my soul. O Father who art in heaven, I love thee dearly, hallowed be thy name. Please show me the way. I may be shunned and persecuted. I may have no place to go, but nevertheless, I am unable to give up on life and cast aside my hope. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me unto salvation. O Father who art in heaven, guide me. I can no longer remember when my life became naught but running, when it became endless wandering in the dark. And now, when I reach the point where I've long since forgotten my hunger and thirst, my voice has become hoarse, my vision gone blurry, and my consciousness began sinking into a hazy morass. That mansion appears before me, wrapped in a morning fog that seems to foretell rain. Got short hair this time around. If I recall correctly, her name has been Morgana in the past, so it might be as well here. Oh my, the mansion comes into view, like the world fading in after a dream. It doesn't appear as though anyone lives here. All the windows are either boarded up or shuttered, as if it's long since been abandoned. A tower which seems out of place in a personal residence stands tall beside the mansion. The whole building seems as though it could disappear with the fog. It has an unwelcoming presence, freezing me in my tracks. However, this is where you have led me, and I shall follow your guidance. Having nowhere else to go, the mansion is my only salvation, the light that guides my way, and so I must have faith that no matter what I find, whether spirits or wild beasts dwell within these walls, that this is where I will find peace. Is anyone there? I guess it is abandoned. That makes sense. It would be more unusual for someone to be living in a house so deep in the woods, so far from civilization, like it's been forgotten to time. I can't imagine anyone spending their days here. I place my hand on the front door. What if I can't get in? I very much doubt I'll find anywhere else to stay wandering through the woods. If the door doesn't open, I'll die out here in the forest. I have to accept much, but I'm not ready to forfeit my life yet. Please open. The door is heavy, and though it seems to protest my attempts to enter, it still opens much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. So will this be us placing a curse on the house of the people who are in it? Or is this going to be still cursed when we get in? Looking in, I get the strangest impression light is being swallowed up into the mansion's depths. I don't know why I wanted to say mountain. Rather than going inside, it feels as though I'm about to step outside the boundaries of the world. When I close the door, it's so dark I can't even tell where I'm walking. I wonder if the window's open. So I manage to fumble my way over to a window. It's tightly shuttered, and the shutters are caked with rust. I'm probably not going to get it open without a fight. If only I had some source of light. I can't even see my hand waving in front of my face. It feels like the floor will fall out from under me and I'll sink into eternal darkness if I don't watch my step. Fighting back that fear, I slowly walk forward, tracing the wall with my hand. There's the door at the end of a long corridor. I pull it open and a wisp of bone-chilling air brushes past me. Too dark to see anything, but I can feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness gripped me. Is anybody there? My voice simply disappears into the void. No response. As I'm pushing forward through the freezing air, for a split second I notice a shimmer. Light. Squinting my eyes, I'm able to make out a large window. Unlike the others, it's not shuttered, but covered by drapes. My chances are slim, I imagine, but if there's even a slight possibility of getting some light in here, it's worth a shot. So I pull open the drapes. What do I find? The next moment, faint but colorful light shines down on me. It's a stained glass window. From beyond the glass, I can hear the subtle pitter-patter of rain. I guess it's finally started. The different colors of light blend into a milky white, dim but wondrous. It's gorgeous. Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. Or the windows. Suddenly I hear a voice and I can sense someone else in the room. The man's voice is emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long, he comes into view, illuminated by the dull orange candlelight. Or by dull orange candlelight, I should say. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited. But, I did announce myself. The man stands there, practically blending in with the darkness. Has he been there the whole time? He's staring straight at me. His gaze wavers slightly, but not enough for me to read anything in it. The candle in his hand and the light from the stained glass window are the only illumination in the room, neither of which are particularly bright. As a result, his outline is faint and blurred. He gives off the impression he might vanish entirely between blinks. My apologies, I assumed the house was abandoned. I suspect you would have preferred it to be abandoned. Not at all. And is this do you live in the mansion? Yes, I have for a very long time. I thought I'd barred the front door, but it would seem I left it open. What brings you here? You're lost. I'm happy to give you directions. There's a village west of here. It should take you maybe half a day on foot. If you're in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. Trade it for food at the village, then make your way to a larger town. Please allow me to stay here. Could you repeat that? I can't go to the village. I can't go anywhere. I'm no longer able to freely return to any town. I'm being hunted. You seem rather young to be a sinner. You have transgressed. I'm neither a thief nor an adulterer. If I bear any sin, it has been with me since birth. I'll do everything I can to stay out of your way. I simply ask that you grant me shelter until it all blows over. If you wish to know my transgression, I will tell you, so please do not throw me out. I see. And do you ask this of me, aware of how people refer to this mansion? Pardon? It's said a witch once lived in this house. And not just any witch, a cursed witch. This house has been tainted by her seething hatred, and all who dwell within it meet their demise. Wait, you live here, don't you? Like her, I too am cursed. Huh? What kind of curse? The one thing I can tell you is that your life is in danger if you get involved with me. Should you approach my curse, I'm likely to take your life. You'll kill me? Yes. You do not belong here. To live with me in this mansion is to sentence yourself to death. No matter what path I choose, I very much doubt I have a future. And if that's the case, I shall live how I want. I don't care what people say about you or this mansion. I wish to stay here. You might think I'm rather strange, but my heart tells me that I must stay here. That I was guided here, and hearing what you have to say only reinforces that. What are you scheming? I'm not scheming anything. I'm simply tired of running. As if your curse is going to kill me. Perhaps that's for the best. At the very least, you won't be hunting me. You won't try to flay me, or tear off my arms, or rip the flesh from my bones. That's enough for me. You've committed no sin, why do they hunt you so fervently? I'm accused of being a witch. In 1099 or 1100. Master. Please wake up. Return to me. Have you come to, Master? I apologize for sending you through the door without warning. It must have given you quite the scare. But I beg your forgiveness. I've heard terrible screaming from down the stairs and I panicked. You say you saw the white-haired girl? I see you made it into the world beyond the door before me. I'm deeply relieved I was able to take your hand before losing sight of you. I presume you've already grown familiar with the atmosphere of this time period, Master? If you've seen her, as you said, you should have a basic grasp of the situation. She was a very misfortunate girl in this area, accused of being a witch, abused and persecuted. Her life was in constant danger. It was, again, her appearance that brought this upon her. That snow-white hair, those ruby-red eyes clearly differentiated her from everyone else. Oh, and I apologize. I neglected to mention that this door is unique. As for what sets it apart, it will be made clear as we proceed. Though one difference is in the time period. The tales I've shown you began with that of the beautiful flaxen-haired family, followed by the tale of the bloodthirsty beast, and then the tale of steel and ambition, proceeding in chronological order. However, the door we just entered takes us to a period now known as the Middle Ages, long before the other three tales. Yes, that's correct. This is where it all began. The mansion's curse, the truth of the witch, and your identity. All this should be made known. If after this tale you're unable to reclaim your true self, then, well, nothing else I can do. This door contains the last tale I'm able to tell you. So I ask of you, please do not let go of my hand until this is all over. Now then, let's begin a beautiful, tragic love story of two solitary souls trapped in a mansion of darkness. In that era, the mansion was a dungeon draped in... After a great deal of time on the run, the white-haired girl found herself at a remote mansion that stood in a dark, overgrown forest. All the windows were either boarded up or shuttered. It was even darker inside than out. Not even a ray of moonlight could enter the walls. Only naturally, the white-haired girl had assumed nobody lived there. But her guess was incorrect. Someone did indeed dwell in the house. It was a young man named Michel. Though she couldn't make out the details of his face in the candlelight, she thought him a very handsome man. However, he proclaimed to her that a witch resided within the mansion and that he too was cursed. Everyone who got close to him lost their life. Do you think that's what he told her was all nonsense? A lie devised to chase her out of the house? Possibly. The truth of the matter shall come to light in time. Despite Michel's... Michael? Yeah? Assertions, the white-haired girl decided she would take up residence within the mansion. This era's white-haired girl was younger than the others. She was still in her early teens, young enough to be seen as still a child. But she was neither as self-centered nor irresponsible as you might expect of someone her age. She was very delicate and reserved, acted with a great deal of modesty and restraint. The accusations of her being a criminal and sinner were grossly inappropriate. Nevertheless, she was still chased from her home, barely managing to flee to this mansion with her life. Now, the white-haired girl thought it would be rude to simply take up space in the mansion, so she chased down the master and asked, is there anything I can do to help? I'll clean or cook, or let me know. I want to repay you for allowing me to stay here. You need not feel indebted to me. The weight of that obligation will only turn into disdain. Cheerful fellow, isn't he? I can't just stay here and do nothing. Do whatever you like, as long as you do not enter my room. That's all I ask of you. He said emotionlessly, turning away and walking off. Jill was not, I believe, spurning her. Yeah, he was merely disinterested. He didn't treat her disrespectfully, nor did he seem averse to her presence. Words simply didn't seem to affect him at all. Not only was the mansion a prison for his body was also a prison ensnaring his heart. I should still do whatever I can. But she didn't let that get her down. In fact, she might have even interpreted his disinterest as kindness. Though he was a bit standoffish, he didn't attempt to cause her harm. He was nothing like the people who accused her of being a witch and forced her to flee for her life. And then she was deeply grateful for that. Thus began their quiet life together. Michel, who avoided contact with others, and the white-haired girl who had taken a great deal of abuse from others. Two people who knew hardly anything about one another, who were too distant to really be said to be living together. Michel spent most of his day in his chambers, so they only ever saw each other occasionally, and they hardly ever spoke. Though they stayed in the same house, they both lived solitary lives. Nonetheless, The white-haired girl wanted to get to know Mikhail better. He wanted to know why he called himself cursed, why he lived alone in this dark mansion, and how many days, how many years he had spent here in solitude. While she waited for the opportunity, she also started doing things around the home. The first project she set out to take care of was cleaning. As the windows were all firmly shut, the only source of light was candles. For whatever reason, there was a great deal of candles stored in the cellar. She wondered where on earth he acquired so many, but she never found the opportunity to ask him. It was difficult to see all the dust and cobwebs. With only candlelight, and considering the poor airflow through the house, she was afraid her efforts were going to be in vain. Still, she persisted, sweeping right and wiping things down, one room at a time. Eventually, she made her way to the library. The dust that had settled there was much heavier than in any other room. With each breath, she had to fight back coughs. It was not a room one would normally be comfortable spending much time in, but the sight of so many bulky tomes lining the shelves sent her heart aflutter with delight. Books! Incredible, real books! The white-spirited girl had never seen a book before. She had heard people describe them, but that was the first time she had ever seen one for herself. Parchment was very valuable as a commodity in that era. It was something monks or scholarly priests made use of, and not a material one could easily acquire without some degree of social rank. Books were not printed with machines, but copied by hand. A single volume took an incredible amount of work to create. Even the process of binding was an art. And standing before a shelf, she stared intently at the spines. So much dust. Does he not read any of them? Just a peek, just a tiny peek, she said, making excuses to the empty room as she reached her hand towards one of the books. The tome that caught her eye was on the upper shelf. It bore gorgeous jade embossing that looked like it belonged in a treasure chest. Almost. Though she tended to act older than her age, the white-haired girl was still in her early teens and not especially tall. Even standing tiptoe, she was just barely within reach. At long last, her slender fingers made contact with the spine. She began to pull the book towards her. The library had sat abandoned for some time, causing the covers to stick together, so when she attempted to pull one out, several others tilted with it. And then... oh no. Almost all the books on the shelf came avalanching down onto her. Ow. The white-haired girl groaned, buried under a mountain of parchment. She hoped she had not damaged any of her host's valuable collections, for the mess was enough of a setback already in her attempt to express her gratitude. Looking around, she saw one volume that was almost torn in half. She didn't know whether it was in that condition before, or if it happened after or during the fall. Nonetheless, she felt horribly guilty, sitting there unable to get back on her feet. Tears began welling in her eyes. Then suddenly a shadow fell over the dejected girl. She took a book in its hand and returned it to the shelf. For a brief moment, the shadow's hand reached hesitantly towards the white-haired girl, then changed course towards another book. Okay, he likes the books. He likes reading. Is Mikhail. There was a hint of perplexity in his otherwise emotionless eyes. Perhaps he'd heard the noise and come to see what caused it. Or perhaps he really likes books. Alright, Mikhail, let's see what's going on. I haven't decided whether I like this guy. I wish it was Michael. But that's like an A. M-I-C-H-A-E-L, right? So, I don't know what it's supposed to be. I'm so... Wait. X. I'm so sorry. Your books, I... What were you doing? I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make such a mess. I didn't mean to damage such precious books. Oh, there's no need to pen. I'm sorry. Make it sound as if I'm admonishing you. What? You want to read a book? I do, but that's not what I originally came here to clean. Clean? Yes, I felt guilty simply being idle. Said you could do as you please. You have no responsibility to clean. Well, I just ended up making a bigger mess anyway. I'm sorry. Needn't apologize. Okay. You want to read, help yourself to any of the books. Oh, but I don't know how to read. I just thought the cover was pretty, so I wanted to hold it. You're free to use them however you wish. If looking at them is enough for you, by all means. These are all your books, aren't they? They are. That's incredible, you have so many. It must have taken you a long time to acquire them all. 1 per month. What? My family sends me 1 every month. Every month? The girl turned her gaze back towards the shelves, squinting her eyes and beginning to count. When she finished, she was in awe. There were in excess of 100 books on the shelves, which meant he had lived here in solitude for many years. Yeah. 10 years. She was at a loss for words. They're dull tomes, dreadfully inoffensive, not even interesting enough to waste a few hours with. Decoration is all they're good for. If you can put them to some use, perhaps then my having them won't be entirely meaningless anymore. Going back to my room. Don't feel obligated to clean up. A minute. Was there something else? Could you tell me your name? I just realized I never asked for your name. Not knowing what to call you will make conversation awkward. You don't need my name to... I want to, though. Was it just me or did it autoplay that part? Alright. Yeah. Michael, like the Archangel. Now there's no question. You said Michael, like the Archangel. The name suits you quite well. It suits me. It does, though. It's difficult to see you in the dark. You seem to be a very handsome man, befitting of your name. I beg to differ. Giving me his name is the highest form of mockery. I expect the real Archangel is probably rather annoyed by it. I don't know, I think it's a wonderful name. And you're... Oh, no, never mind. Oh, my name? My name is... Giselle. Please, call me Giselle. Oh, thank goodness. For what? I was able to get your name and talk to you for a little bit. We haven't seen much of each other since I first arrived, and I'm glad I got to hear your voice. Oh, very glad. Gain nothing by speaking to me. You have no responsibility to do so, and there's no need for you to feel joy about it. I'm not pleased out of responsibility or necessity. It's just depressing not being able to have a conversation with someone living in the same house. She's kind of right there. Live in the same house as them. Can't even speak to them. Don't even know their name. Kind of weird, right? You do not understand me at all. As I said on the first day, my curse will one day kill you. But I'm still alive, aren't I? You're welcome to believe that I'm lying or merely out of my mind. But it will be too late when you realize the truth. I'll be fine, I'm sure. And even if I do die because of your curse, I promise I won't hold a grudge. Could you possibly be keeping away from me out of concern? No, I simply have no interest in interacting with anyone. Well, I'd like to interact with you. If you don't mind, that is. They told you you have nothing to gain from that. I have nothing, not even words, to give you. I mean, this seems good enough. My body's but a shell, even if I were not cursed. My presence would do naught but cause you discomfort. Why, whatever do you mean by that, Michael? Think that's true? I don't believe there's anyone in this world with absolutely nothing. There's plenty inside you simply haven't noticed it yet. And not all of it will only cause others pain, either. He just sits there and looks at her, eyes open. Ah, if you truly believe those words, you're a foolhardy girl. How can you trust someone you only just met? For that matter, how do you not resent everyone? Resent? I can take a guess as to why people call you a witch and why you had to flee all the way to this mansion. It's your white hair and red eyes. That abnormal, seemingly inhuman appearance drew their condemnation. This guy just chilling here with white hair. And are those yellow or red? I'm going with yellow eyes. I can think of any number of reasons they might have started treating you less than human. Perhaps people around you experienced misfortune. Perhaps there was a natural disaster, a famine, a plague. Some kind of external phenomena. And you were the scapegoat. Yes, you are by and large correct. That would make me as unworthy of your trust as anyone else. I make no claim to having your interests in mind. Goodbye. If you don't mind, could you teach me how to read sometime? Did you listen to anything I said? I listened, yes. I have no intent of idolizing you. I don't expect you to do anything for me. And I don't wish to burden you in any way. I simply wish to be allowed to be at your side. It doesn't matter to me what kind of person you may be. That's all I want. I apologize for keeping you. Please consider it if it's not too much trouble. As the master of the house, Michael made his way out of the library. He appeared to be slightly rattled. Perhaps the white-haired girl's determination had ignited something in his chained heart. Or perhaps it was something else. Stared toward the darkness into which Michael had disappeared. Then she carefully wrapped her arms around the jade-embossed tome, a soft smile spreading across her lips. He's a decent man, I'm sure of it. We're alike, he and I. And thus began to blossom within her a faint sense of fellowship as someone who also knew solitude. What do you have for us, maid? It had been about a week since the white-haired girl had taken up residence in the mansion. Staying in that house deprived of light was, I imagine, a very claustrophobic experience. To anyone blessed enough to have sunlight as part of their everyday lives, it would have been unbearable. I think dwarves would have been quite happy. But for her, the mansion, with its prison walls and lack of either illumination or recreation, was the one place she could find respite. She and Michael continued to be distant, however. He spent most of his time in his chambers, which he had explicitly told the white-haired girl to stay out of, leaving her unable to close that gap. Nonetheless, on the occasions they did cross paths in the hallway, their eyes would meet, if but briefly. Never for more than a few seconds. Whenever she saw him, she made a point of giving him a little smile. He never said anything, but still, when she'd first arrived, he'd not even her gaze. He seemed to be taking more and more notice of her. One day, the white-haired girl stood in the cellar, a frown on her face. Well, this is troubling. Can't go down to the village, but if we don't do something soon... we'll be out of food? cellar was where their food was stored, an assortment of non-perishables and dried food, smoked meats and cheeses. Her daily meals were taken from the supplies there. However, the stockpile was beginning to grow quite small. Were she not on the run, she could have gone to the village to procure more. Perhaps were she a bit tougher, she could have captured a wild animal for its meat. Master, you know, a young delicate thing like her was hardly up to the task of hunting for food. How does he normally get his supplies, I wonder? From there, other questions about Michael started rising in her mind. No matter how lifeless he seemed, surely he still had to eat, right? The white-haired girl nodded, then made her way to the cellar, intending to head for his bedchamber. But on her way there, she spotted him standing by the entrance, staring motionless at the door lit by a single candle. He appeared to be waiting for something. Let me ask you a question. Go on. I was down in the cellar and I noticed we were running low on food. You normally go down to the village to restock? I haven't been outside in 10 years. How do you... What if I told you I don't eat? What? That I'm not of this world. That as such I have no need of sustenance. Think of that. Sounds very, economical? I like her explanation. Like, man, it sounds nice having to eat. Save on money. If you can survive without having to eat, that's one less thing to worry about. Great. Or possible. I'd like to have that ability too. It seemed trying to frighten you is a waste of time. Was I supposed to be afraid? Never mind. Doesn't matter. You asked about the food in the cellar. It's getting to be about that time. Wait and you'll find out. It's here. Oh? You want to know where our supplies come from? Open the door. But, I'm in hiding. There's no one at the door anymore. The knock is not more than a signal. A signal? White-haired girl turned towards Michael to press him for more information, but he averted his gaze. Find the answer yourself, he seemed to be saying. She took several moments to gather her will and then marched over to the door. So bright! The sunlight she hadn't seen in some time was so bright it seemed to burn her eyes. Although the sun itself hadn't gotten brighter. She had simply spent so much time in the dark, her eyes were no longer accustomed to that much light. The color of her eyes made them quite sensitive to light already, so when she stepped outside, her whole world went bone white. That was probably a mistake. The white-haired girl stood motionless for 10, perhaps 15 seconds. And when her eyes finally adjusted to the light... Right, she was living off candlelight for like half a month, maybe? Like 2 weeks? Candles or at pure darkness. And it was only 15 seconds. That's actually quite fast. Your eyes can adjust from that to like the light of daylight in like 1 second. That's pretty impressive. Always takes me forever for my eyes to adjust. Suddenly bright light. Just suddenly bright light. This? She noticed a crate on the ground at her feet. She turned her head back to ask Michael about the box, but the mansion was so dark it appeared to be wholly severed from the outside world. Where she stood, she was unable to distinguish Michael from the shadows. A pang of nervousness struck her, and she wanted to return to that darkness as quickly as possible. The white-haired girl had come to yearn for that world without light more than the one with. The crate was fairly hefty. The slightly built girl had considerable difficulty bringing it into the house. But eventually she managed to drag it through the front door. I've also done that before. was when I got my air conditioner. It was like over 100 pounds. Like 100 something. I was like I'm not lifting this thing. It's not happening. Like, I don't know, like 120, 80 or something. I don't remember. It's pretty heavy. Right? I'm not sure. I know it was super heavy and was like, how on earth am I getting? Can't exactly. Thing's bigger than I am. Pretty sure it's bigger than I am, and weight is way more than. Oh boy! And then everything went dark once more, except for the faint flicker of candlelight floating in the air. There. Take care of the rest. What's that word? Michael approached her in the box, withdrawing a knife that he had evidently kept hidden somewhere on his person. Then he cut through the rope that bound the box. Go on, open it up. At his insistence, she placed her hand upon the lid. She had no idea what lay inside this unexpected delivery. Whoever brought it was already long gone. Staring at the strange box, she was racked with nervousness, however. She found when she pushed aside the lid was completely ordinary food. Something amusing. It was just rather anticlimactic. Here I was, worried about what might be inside. Just talking about supplies in the cellar. So we were. Completely slipped my mind. He distracted you with the old, what if I don't need food to eat? What if I don't eat food? It should last us for some time. It's all preserved, just like what's in the cellar. But I don't understand. Who would deliver all of this to you? There'll be a book in there as well. What? Oh, Chris. Library. That his family sends him one book. And this box came from them? So then, why did the person who delivered this... What happened between him and his family? Is he here because they want him here? Or because he chose to be? Take the book to the library, please. I'll bring the rest of the supplies to the cellar. The big box, I'm sure you could use some help carrying it. Won't be necessary. Take the book and go. Ask what the title of the book is. But, fine, stay here. I'll take care of everything. Wait, hold up, please. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. And I'm not trying to pry, but I'm curious. Say what you have to say, please. I was wondering if you could tell me why you live here in the mansion. Why did whoever delivered the box leave before you opened the door? You perhaps be imprisoned here? I told you this the very first day. I'm cursed. It's only natural for a cursed man to live in a cursed house. Yes, but it's such a vague answer. I don't understand why you're in the situation you are. I don't know how you feel about it. There's so much I don't know. And I'm not even sure if your curse actually exists. See, that's a perfectly reasonable doubt from your point of view. Having been branded a witch because of your appearance, it would make sense that you would think my curse might be fabricated, or perhaps a metaphor for something else. Alright then, come with me. What? I'll show you my curse. As he turned on his heels, the white-haired girl caught a glimpse of what appeared to be a smirk on his face, like the whole thing was some kind of sick joke. A smile carved into his mask, far colder than any look of annoyance or rejection. But despite the twinge of nervousness, she still followed after Michael. As much as he might have stood out in a crowd with such height and long hair, his presence almost entirely eroded away by the darkness. He felt he could simply fade away into nothingness at any moment. So not the scariest fellow is what you're saying. Anything is buried here. Huh? Mice, insects, wild cats, and dogs. Have you ever thought it strange how little life there seemed to be around this mansion? You're right. I haven't seen a single creature since I arrived. The only sound you can hear is the wind blowing. No crickets? No crickets, really. Crickets? No. Bugs? Now that you mention it, it did seem peculiar. They were all killed by me, or rather, they lost their lives because of me. You have your answer now. A butterfly fluttered its way into the ruined garden, dancing up and down through the air. Michael held out a finger before himself, and the butterfly, mistaking it for a branch, drifted down upon it, pressed its wings. Had the scene stopped there, it would have been a picturesque moment. All that comes in contact with me loses its life. My skin, the breath I exhale, my flesh and blood, poison to all life. The butterfly's movements began to slow. It spread its wings in one last futile attempt to fight gravity, and then without warning it shriveled up into a dry husk. It's dead, dried and lifeless. Actually cursed? Like it's been dead for days. It's like his finger drained all the life from it. This is cursed? Is that even possible? I saw with my own eyes. If this is his curse, it explains so much. There are more than just insect and animal corpses buried here, too. Servants who came to visit me long ago. Here beneath the ground, under our very feet. That's why the servant leaves before I open the door. Should he touch me, get near me, his very life is in danger. No one is interested enough in seeing me to take that risk. No one will have anything to do with me. Nary a soul even wishes to see my face. Now you understand what I said when I meant I would eventually kill you. That's why you never once touched me? When I knocked books down in the library, you didn't offer your hand to help me up. Only one of us ever made contact with the box at the entrance. And I offered to help you carry it. You didn't want your finger to accidentally brush against mine? My actions were not out of concern for you. I simply dislike people. Others' interests mean nothing to me. He's shielding himself. What an odd face you're making. Do you not believe my curse is real? No, I do. It's certainly irrational, inexplicable, unbelievable. You've shown me more than enough evidence. I don't believe you're lying to me right now either. In case you now understand how dangerous it is to be near me. If you left, you'd be killed. But it's been some time since then. If you're careful to cover your tracks, you could make your escape. You don't belong here. Telling the truth about being cursed. What a cruel burden to have to bear. Can't imagine just how much he's given up on. How many lives he's inadvertently taken. Yeah, how he must have felt every time it happened. How much pain the loneliness must have given him. How much despair he must carry in his heart. How much sorrow must be weighing down. No, I won't leave. I'll stay here with you. Leave this place. No, I will not. Why? Why do you insist on remaining in this house after learning what I can do? You have no reason to stay. Tell me then, why do you try to drive me out? You don't care for others as you say. If you're not concerned about anyone else, what does it matter what I do? What does it matter if I die to your curse? You're a very kind-hearted man. You've been watching out for me since the day I arrived, doing whatever you can to not inadvertently kill me, and not afflict me with your curse. So, here's what I think. No one capable of showing genuine care for others can honestly, truly like all people. They can't possibly be indifferent. No, the day we met before the stained glass window, you heard me out, listened to my plight. You didn't try to chase me out. That day I thought you to be a good person, and I still believe that. I simply assumed you would leave on your own when it was safe. I never thought you'd be so foolish as to want to stay in a house like this with a man like me. How does that make me feel? Do you not value your life? Are you not afraid of death? Do you not find me unpleasant? The thing I fear most is loneliness. You're probably right, that by now I could safely sneak away, get myself somewhere far from here. Even if I do, I invariably find myself in the same situation. The only way I can avoid that fate is to stay away from everyone. Or wear glasses. To wear dark sunglasses and a hat everywhere. Not that either of those exist in 1099. I know. Right, the only way I can avoid that fate is to stay away from everyone, to live in solitude with no one to talk to. I know you understand how that feels. It terrifies me. I'm afraid of having to spend day after day with no one to talk to, no one to share my experiences, my thoughts, or my feelings with. If that's what awaits me out there, then I want to live with you. I want you to be an essential part of my life. Impossible. Please don't chase me out. You're a cruel girl. Never again will I allow myself to get close to someone, only to watch them die. Never again. My mother was the first to die. It happened shortly after my birth. Next was my wet nurse. 2 deaths could be considered a coincidence, but as the number rose, it became clear I was cursed. I was forbidden from making contact with anyone, even at home. Regardless, being in the same house, accidents will happen. Numerous people lost their lives, attendants unfamiliar with me, and those who simply brushed up against me by mistake. I couldn't take it any longer. You chose to move to this remote mansion to keep yourself away from your family. You weren't imprisoned here, you elected to live here, alone, so you wouldn't hurt anyone. Not saying no, right? For better or worse, I was born into a noble house. Rather than abandon me, they provided me with the means to live out of sight. I'll be grateful. Do everything I can to ensure no accidents occur. Oh, not for any reason touch. You have my promise. Your curse takes the life out of anything you touch. Been here for a while. Death has not befallen me yet. As long as I don't touch you, there shouldn't be a problem. And, I apologize if this is simply me reading too much into things, but I feel like we're two of a kind. I fear being utterly alone more than anything. I think you understand how scary that is. So, why are you stubbornly insistent on it being me? I'm sure there's someone else out there, someone you're meant to be with. You may not have found them yet, but I believe someone like you eventually will. Unlike me, you still have the vigor to press forward. It has to be you, I'm certain of it. Why? Because, well, I can't tell me. I can, it's just, please don't get upset with me. I think, therefore I am. I might really, really love you. Don't get mad. Oh, okay. His was a power that evoked images of witches or demons, the unclean and the impure. A mere touch was all it took for him to strip man and beast alike of its life. God has quite a cruel streak to bestow such a power upon such a beautiful young man, and a strange power it was indeed, like something out of a fairy tale. Like something confined to words upon a page, it seemed otherworldly, unbelievable. Nonetheless, as he had demonstrated to the white-haired girl, his peculiar powers were indeed real. That said, the world has its fair share of oddities. It just so happens those curiosities tend to remain hidden away, known only to a few. Though you have laid eyes upon a number of unnatural phenomena yourself, Master. The doors to the past through which we have passed. This very mansion. As a matter of fact, the two of us, as you just saw, the white-haired girl found herself enraptured with this man and his accursed power. How do you think Michael acted in response to her proclamation? He spent so long refusing to interact with others, or rather unable to interact with them. As such, he was still unsure how to proceed. After standing there expressionless for a few moments, he muttered, "I'll consider it." With that, he returned to his chambers. While he wasn't someone who would wear their heart on their sleeve, I personally do not believe he was completely devoid of emotions. He had simply forgotten how to express them in his extended solitude. I think he was, at that moment, in a state of complete panic. She had, after all, just assaulted him with a stream of incomprehensible declarations. Knowing the truth, she still wished to remain in the mansion. Knowing the truth, she loved him. The love she'd declared for Michael was not a fleeting puppy love. There was genuine tenderness and warmth to her words. But he'd gone through his life shunned, feared, and pushed away. To him, that was normal. He'd never given anyone a reason to have any fondness for him. He found himself utterly unsure how to take the affection she was showing. Of course, he's not the only one who was rattled by the whole affair. Dear, several days had passed since Michael had asked for time to think. He still had yet to show himself again. My fault? The white-haired girl paced anxiously through the halls on the off chance she might run into him. Okay. As per his request, though, she kept her distance from his chambers. Nevertheless, she was beginning to worry about the fact he had secluded himself away for so long, so she worked up her courage and made her way to his room. He doesn't want to see me ever again. I didn't consider I might be overstepping my bounds. Before opening my mouth, every step she took was slow and laborious. Her mind raced with worry and doubt. I should at least tell him I'm sorry. Rather than out of a desire to know how he felt, she was compelled by a guilt and a desire to apologize. After walking for some time, she arrived at a door sitting in an utterly unlit hallway. She drew in a breath of musty air and let it out, repeating the process several times. Next, she reached her hand up to knock on the door, then pulled it back, also doing this a number of times. Oh, how adorable she was. I wanted nothing more than to give her a little nudge. After all, she was too sweet a girl for her worries to be anything but misplaced. I just can't find the courage. Maybe I should come back another day. What's the point of waiting? I need to apologize and get the weight off his back now. Gathered her courage once more, this time determined to do it. The white-haired girl moved her small fist towards the door, which then swung open. Sorry. Please, you must announce your presence. I almost walked right into you. Are you in that much of a hurry for a mishap? Sorry. I believe I told you to stay away from my chambers. You did. I spent a long time debating whether I should, but I decided I really wanted to tell you this. Oh, well, actually, I'm truly sorry. The other day I could barely manage to get the words in my head all the way to my mouth. There was no room in my mind for anything else. I shoved my own thoughts and feelings into your face, not considering that might not be what you wanted. Just running non-stop, not thinking at all. I was terribly disrespectful to you, completely selfish. You're a kind-hearted man, I truly believe that. But you were only being courteous because you're a nice man. I'm sure you have little interest in the affections of a queer little girl. So, I'd love it if I could stay here. It'd be a wonderful blessing. But if you really don't want me here, if my feelings are imposing upon you, I apologize. Sorry, and I'll take my leave of the house. He's like, gods, why? Sorry, don't be. My mind went blank for a moment. Huh? Find it difficult to comprehend you. The other day you were firm in your intentions to stay, and now you'll leave without a struggle. You hold up in your room for so long. I thought, you didn't want me around? To be honest, I want to stay here, I do. I think you should do whatever pleases you. What? You can stay, or you can leave. I won't pressure you to do one or the other. I'm not imposing? To tell you the truth, I had to think about that for some time. However, I've now come up to something of a solution. Since you're here, come into my room. But I thought I wasn't allowed to prevent what almost happened a few moments ago, so we don't accidentally run into each other. Oh, sorry. You're forgiven. I'll come in. Okay. Is this a necklace? That's what it looks like to you. I suppose it means I succeeded. Pick it up. The little bell. Adorable. Please make an effort to wear that while you're in the house. So dark, there always exists the risk we might accidentally bump into one another. So I tried to come up with a way to reduce that risk. mean you didn't leave your room because you were working on it? Right. What other reason would I have? I think most people would assume it's because they put you in a bad mood or that you didn't want to see them. I have little sense of how most people see the world. Sorry. I appreciate it, though. I'm really glad to know that you put so much thought into a life together with me. It would be difficult not to after the other day. I'm so happy right now. Can't think of any better word to define it. I couldn't be happier. Being dramatic. Tell you the truth, I feel a bit bad about it. Why? Seems rather impertinent to affix a bell to someone. You're not livestock, you're a person. Well, that's why you turned it into a necklace, right? Doesn't change what it is, though, right? Thank you very much. I'll keep it on me at all times. Really appreciate it, Lord Michael. Don't call me Lord, please. Alright then, I'll just call you Michael. Will you please call me Giselle? The windows. What? We can open the windows. Never mind. I was just thinking you wouldn't need the bell at all if we could get some light in here. They can't be opened? They're rusted shut. All the windows have been shuttered for as long as I've been here. I assumed you boarded them all up. That was done long before I ever arrived. For so many years in here, though, I hardly consider it an inconvenience anymore. It also serves to repel wanderers. Oh, wait. Is there something odd about that? No. It's just, I realized I had the wrong impression about a number of things. To learn more, I see things in a different light. You in a different... I'm sure there's still plenty more for me to learn. Of all the people I've ever met, you're probably perhaps the most difficult to predict. Not only do you have no aversion to the darkness, the dark has always been a close friend of mine. Which isn't to say I dislike the sun, its light can simply be a little too strong for me. I'm like some kind of unholy monster that can't be exposed to sunlight. You're anything but unholy. My name would suit you much better than me. I don't know where Giselle comes from. That'd be interesting. What is this sound? That day when I first saw Giselle, I was wary of her, apprehensive. Oh, what a... Heck, I'm sure there's still plenty more to learn. Of the beep, I have beep. Right. Why is the text corrupted? What a beautiful story. Much better than the real thing. Not. Why is this here? Why is the dialogue corrupted? When it wasn't when we were reading it. That day when I first saw Giselle, I was wary of her, apprehensive. I didn't want her anywhere near me, but as my doubts about her faded, I began feeling something very different. As though the lump in my heart had been melted away. I began to yearn for her to be at my side. I was seeing if there was anything in the scrollback text because it's screwed up now for some reason. Knowing full well it couldn't possibly last, knowing full well how foolish it was, I found myself captivated by her. I found myself wishing to have her stay with me. They keep flashing red text on, oh, like this up on the screen. That's clearly intentional, but I don't know why. That marked the true beginning of their quiet days together in the dark mansion. They acknowledged and accepted each other's presence, no longer isolating themselves, but actively, regularly conversing. As mundane as it might seem, it was something they had been unable to attain until then. Nevertheless, they were still somewhat fumbling around in the dark with one another, drawing closer, pushing away again. Michael, in his own ungraceful way, was beginning to open himself up to the things she said, and the white-haired girl was beginning to smile with greater frequency. They had taken to dining together, and her wish of learning to read was being granted. He taught her in the feeble light of a candle placed upon the table, the two sitting across from one another. Though Michael seemed to be well educated, he had not been instructed in the art of teaching, so he found the process quite grueling. But to the white-haired girl, the longer it took, the better. Her primary objective was, after all, to spend time with him. The days passed. Eventually, she reached the point where her comprehension was adequate enough without assistance. Her next request then was for them to read through a book together. You read every book in the library? No, I stopped looking at them after a while. Most everything I'm sent is dull, uninformative dreck. Diary of a Lord, foolish make-believe tales. Not fond of fiction, I take it. What value is there in the lies and fantasies of another? Stories can be invigorating. Tales of adventure can take you places you can never go. Legends of heroes, folklore, stories of otherworldly phenomena. They can be terrifying, but they can also be exhilarating. They may not be real, but they can give you a glimpse into the author's heart to let you feel like you're seeing the same thing they saw. You're a very empathetic girl. Fiction inspires nothing of the sort in me, however. Perhaps long ago it may have been able to. I can no longer remember what it feels like. I'm sure it'll come back to you. You're not an empty man. Sorry, I'm making you uncomfortable. How about we read this book today? It appears to be a collection of legends. You haven't read it yet? Good to hear. It'll be more enjoyable if it's a new experience for the both of us. It looks like it's a record of local legends. The book is divided into several sections, though it appears to be mostly superstitions. I am curious about what kind of stories this area has. The two of them were looking down at a simple, undecorated volume. As the white-haired girl had said, it seemed to be a collection of local legends passed down generation to generation. They sat across from one another at the table, her turning the pages, Michael simply watching so as to not brush up against her. Eventually her eyes were drawn to a particular word on one of the pages, bringing her hands to a stop. The witch. The chapter detailed the story of a witch, or more precisely said, the witch's curse. The story went something like this. Main menu theme playing. There was once a witch skilled in the dark arts. She lived a meager but peaceful life alongside the other villagers, but then a long drought struck the village, which the people blamed on the witch. The witch was sentenced to death, and as the fire blazed around her, smoke rising high into the air. Smoke soon became rain clouds, blessing the village with an end to the drought. Crops were revitalized, the villagers fancied themselves heroes. However, the rain also brought madness upon the people. Though the earth below them was lush and fertile, the villagers were losing their minds. They eventually began to take each other's lives. The witch still lived on in the form of a curse. Many fell victim to the witch's curse. Though it did not only take, it also fulfilled people's desires. The villagers had gone mad, but their wish for freedom from the drought had been granted. Thus, the legend had been passed down as follows. The witch will grant your wish in exchange for great sacrifice. As smoke in the sky, she watches down upon us from above. Reach the witch, climb for the heavens, but know the road is the road to destruction. People believe the witch's legend, I suppose. That's why I face accusations of being not an area very welcoming to outsiders, especially one who stands out as much as you. What brought you to this region in the first place? Mine's a story I'm sure you've heard before. I was cast out of my house. I come from a poor family. We could barely even afford to keep everyone fed. As weak as I am, it was only natural I'd be the first to go. I see. What I don't understand, though, is why the witch is said to grant people's wishes. It's to say, she had reason enough to hold a grudge, but not to give people the things they asked for. All you have to do is go on a few pages. There's no saying what might have changed or added over time. It's almost certain the entire legend isn't here. That's it. If we're to accept everything as written, you can infer that the witch's reason might have been what it might have been. If you truly wanted that much, you can have it, but I'll make sure your suffering outweighs it. Despair that comes after a moment of happiness is far more agonizing than despair alone. I presume that's why the witch decided to grant people's wishes. One way to look at it. May I ask you something? Go on. When I first arrived here, you told me a cursed witch used to live in this mansion. After reading the legend, I find it hard to believe you made that up simply to scare me away. I appropriated the tale, nothing more. It is said the witch was born in this house. What? Quite the place my family found for me. But it was a clever decision putting me here, I think. How many people are likely to come to your house with such a pedigree? But... oh, never mind. That makes sense. I suspect I know what she was going to say then. If the witch said to grant wishes, then wouldn't that also attract people who desperately want something? So desperate they don't care what price they must pay? Perhaps she was correct. Perhaps there had been those who came to the mansion chasing after the legend. Perhaps they encountered Michael, touched him, and lost their lives. On that day in the garden, he had said, "Many things are buried here." Perhaps that included such visitors. I wonder if that story might be more than mere superstition. If the Witch of Legend really did exist, what would you do? It might be nice to talk to her, maybe. That's all? Really? I feel a bit bad for her, though. The only people who ever visit her are here to ask for something, after all. I can only imagine just how lonely that must be. I can't comprehend the way your mind works. Sorry. Although, if we assume the legend is true, I have an idea what climb for the heavens might mean. Oh? The mansion has an observation tower, or I suppose what used to be an observation tower. At any rate, it's quite a tall structure. This is the house where the witch was supposedly born. A tower reaching for the heavens seems like the perfect place to find her if she really is here. Oh yes. I remember seeing a rather tall structure as I first approached the mansion. I'd like to see it? Of course. Please lead the way. Two of them left the library and made their way to the room with the stained glass window. The far end of the room were the stairs to the observation tower. The tale of the witch had piqued the white-haired girl's interest, inspiring her to put herself forward, to satisfy that curiosity. I mean, I'd want to find it out too. I appreciate we have characters who aren't passive. Oh my goodness. I haven't been following anime a lot lately, and so I usually just like go to Crunchyroll or Netflix and pick like a random show or random up something. Of course, I've written a random anime selector, so it lets you pick genre. After finishing Azumanga Daioh, which was pretty good, I moved on. I was like, what's airing, you know, lately? I think one of the things that Crunchyroll was advertising was like Dragon Raja, and that show, oh my goodness. Who thought that the spin we need? We have anime, millions of anime, and tons of manga where the main character's OP. But you know what really needs to change? Like making the character not OP. We don't want to change that. What we need to do is make the character even more passive, and just have the entire plot carry along. That's the best way to describe the show. The main character. The show would probably be better if you deleted the main character, which is the weirdest thing to say. Like the characters who are not the main character are more interesting than the main character, because the main character is completely passive, i.e. tries to avoid the main story. I think episode 1, he's like, it's like a magical school show, right? So episode 1, like the first episode, is the school is trying to recruit him because of course he's the prophesied or like super legendary character. You know, he's gonna be the best student at the school ever if they can recruit him. At Magic School they can recruit him. But of course he's not actually interested in that. He's 100% willing to throw away a full scholarship to university for the chance to ask his crush out at the optimal time. And you're like, excuse me, what? Even then, he's not really interested in going. And then he actually gets to the school, and he's not interested in actually, like, imagine like Harry Potter. Like it literally does like the Harry Potter intro after that bit, right? But imagine like the Harry Potter intro, or instead of Harry being like excited or like the fun classes, you just have Harry Potter trying to skip class and do nothing the whole time. And then instead of like, you know, the drama of like the Philosopher's Stone's the first book or first movie book, right? Like instead of like that stuff happening, just imagine him like effing off and avoiding literally everything the whole time. Because they have no interest in the plot, and like other people are taking this stuff super seriously. It's like the weirdest thing. And then of course they get pulled into it and instantly solve all the problems because they're hilariously overpowered. But you know, in this case, they just get whatever power they need to solve the problem. It was weird. Oh man. I'm like, how are these shows getting made? It's so weird. Obviously, it's like, come on, have like an okay, like the world itself wasn't bad, right? I feel like that's the case with so many Chinese written series, or I think it's Chinese written. I shouldn't judge. I didn't actually check. I think it's a donghua. I think it was originally a donghua though. I was like, the hell am I watching? It's like, what? Like, I'm not gonna finish the show, but it's so weird to have like this character, and it's just like several characters exist to be tropes, but it's so weird when like the person who kind of exists to fulfill the role of like the super elite, you know, holier than thou wizard guy who thinks he's better than you. It's weird when that person has more personality and is kind of more interesting than the main character. And actually cares more about like actually doing the plot. Like, it's like, imagine if you had. Well, I wouldn't think it would be fair to say Malfoy because the guy's not. It's like, but like, imagine having the character who's usually supposed to be like your rival or the person you don't really like, and that person is more interested in like doing the right thing than the protagonist is. Like, oh man, so weird. Then it just slows down for some reason. Oh my god, the plot slows down. It was weird. Yeah, I have no clue why so many uninspired fantasy series exist. You're like, who is paying millions of dollars to animate this? It's so bad. Like, I understand not every show can be legendary. Like, we can't have every fantasy series isn't going to be the next Freerin. We aren't going to have like, you know, our suspense tales, not our suspenseful drama isn't going to be like isn't gonna be Death Note. Like, it's, you know, we can't have UBW every single season. Like, it's nice to have this character, you know, it's nice when characters actually want to be involved in the plot. But that's like it used to be standard, right? Like, that was expected. You know, Luke Skywalker may not be like super excited to leave his home behind, and needs an inciting incident. So you can understand that. You know, once he's on the path of the Jedi, he does pursue that, because that's what he has to do. And the story is focused around him and the things he's doing, or directly related. How do people screw this up? How do people come up with like this really cool world and they just completely forget that like writing is like 90% of a good series? Like, you can take good writing and you can take anything, like any topic, any world, and with good writing, make it a really intriguing story, right? You don't need to use some fantastical world with some crazy world building. Like, you can use like, oh yeah, it's just the real world, and then just write a good story. Right? Like, it's very possible. But no, it feels like people keep forgetting to pay their writers. Oh my goodness. Oh, I get the same vibe when I read manhwa. Like, someone forgot to pay the writers. Terrible and uninspired. Alright. Like, the art might be good. The animators are getting paid a lot. They're doing an alright job. Whoever is writing is like making minimum wage and doesn't want to be doing it. Oh goodness. Great. So, the tale of the witch piqued the white-haired girl's interest, inspiring her to put herself forward to satisfy that curiosity. Yeah, after all. Oh yes, that's right. The other classic plot hook. Your parents went to Magic High School. Oh. Are we going to investigate that? No. No, that's not interesting. She had, after all, been accused of being a witch herself, so she undoubtedly felt an affinity to the legend. What a sweet girl she was. Up we go, the stairs that we once traveled. Alright. With Michael in the lead, the two climbed a long spiral staircase. There were many more stairs than the white-haired girl had anticipated, and she soon found herself short of breath. Rectangular windows were carved out of the stone in regular intervals. Peering through one of them, she could see a village in the distance. A pleasantly cool, high-altitude breeze brushed across her face. After much climbing, they finally arrived at the top, where a door made of partially rotted wood stood. Michael pulled open the door, revealing a small room with no windows nor doors in sight. This is the top of the tower? Despite it being called an observation tower, you could hardly observe anything from here. Her face contorted in confusion, the white-haired girl threw her gaze about the room. Glancing up, she saw only a darkened ceiling, and slightly below it a small single window through which shone a little ray of light. The beam cleaved through the darkness like the sharpened blade of a beautiful sword. The darkness draped over the rest of the room only served to make it more impressive. Solitary ray of light. It had a magical fairy tale quality to it. As if being pulled in by it, she drew towards the light. I suspect there was once a large window in this room. If you look closely, you can see seams in the stone of the wall. The color of the stone differs slightly on either side of the seam. I presume something caused them to seal off the window after it was built. Though I don't know what that something might be. He trails off. When Michael's eyes fell upon the white-haired girl wrapped in that beam of light, he sputtered to a stop. The man who never flinched at anything, who had long since distanced himself from such stirrings of the heart, was utterly bewitched. He'd never seen her illuminated so vividly before. He was having a great deal of trouble finding the words to describe her striking beauty. For someone who had been chased out of her home and accused of being a witch, the white-haired girl looked less like a practitioner of the dark arts, and more like one of the host of heaven. Michael undoubtedly felt the same way, for his gaze was fixed firmly upon her. Dazzling, is like a staircase leading to heaven? Perhaps so. Is something the matter? No, I'm fine. You know, it feels like there's something odd about the air in here. It feels like someone might actually be... If the witch were to speak to you, what would you say to her? I'd ask her to tell me her true feelings. Tell me what kind of person she was. What kind of pain she had to endure. I just want to know what she felt, this woman people branded a witch. The legend was written from a neutral perspective. It's possible she was a fearsome witch. It's also possible she wasn't. I get the feeling she was just persecuted like me. Like me and you. Unlike you, I truly am impure. Disagree all you want, but my touch kills. A strange, incomprehensible, irrational... Or maybe I'm not even a living being, and that's why when I touch something that is, I bring them death. If only I actually were a witch. If only I actually had some kind of extraordinary power. Regardless of whether it came from God or the devil, then I'd be able to grant people's wishes. My wish need not be granted. But I want to. I wish to be able to touch you. I'd be perfectly content with nothing changing, with us never being able to touch one another. I'd be more than happy with that. But I'm allowed to dream, aren't I? It doesn't have to be in this life. Pray the day will come that we can get closer, even if it has to happen in an... Happiness is much a stranger to me, but am I allowed to dream too? You are. I'll never touch you, I swear it, but I'd like to dream about it. I'd like to imagine placing my hand on your cheek. Yeah. Reach your hand out for me. I'll imagine it too. I'm imagining your fingers running through my hair, brushing up against my skin. I can feel your warmth. There was a wall between them, a wall they could not cross, for if they did, it would mean the white-haired girl's death. No matter how much they yearned for it, they could not touch one another, so they did so within the confines of their imagination, visioning it in as much detail as they could manage. It was sad, but sweet, a moment of pristine, untainted beauty. Two of them emanated serenity. As fitting as the word cursed might have been to the mansion as a whole, at the top of the observation tower, a pure bond was being shared. A fleeting moment between a young man with a cursed touch and a kind-hearted, beautiful girl. The dreams did not last long, no, for God is quite cruel. They simply wanted to be together, that was all. Their wish was hardly unreasonable, only a quiet, peaceful life together, but misfortune was creeping ever nearer, its footsteps growing more and more pronounced. Things were going well. And now we'll just tell you that bad things are around the corner. Like they haven't been in the corner for around the corner for the last 3 stories. Someone at the door. The flow of time was hazy in the mansion's walls. They had a little way of telling whether it was night or day, preventing them from knowing exactly how much time had passed. The white-haired girl had made a habit of climbing the observation tower every so often to see whether the sun was up, which allowed her to approximate the time of day. Consequently, when she heard the knock at the door, she was not aware of just how deep the night was outside, that forest and beast alike lay quietly at rest. Oh right, the stores in the cellar are almost exhausted. Must be this month's delivery. Not thinking it was worth bothering Michael over, she made her way out of the chambers and headed for the entrance. There had only been a single knock, leading her to conclude that, as before, the servant had simply left the box outside the door. Without a second thought, she opened the door. There she saw a strange, vagrant man standing in the moonlight. His clothes were tattered, his bearded face bony and emaciated. She gasped, shrinking back several paces. The heavy door began to swing shut, but the man forced it open, glaring down at her with unfocused eyes and mumbling, "Are you the witch that'll grant people's wishes?" In that moment, the white-haired girl realized she'd been careless. The man had sought out the mansion because he believed the legend of the witch. He didn't seem particularly right of mind either. Perhaps the result of wandering through the forest for several days, or perhaps because he was so beaten down, he thought to ask for a witch's help. In a word, he seemed mad. There's no witch here. Sure there is, don't lie to me. I can hear the witch's voice. She led me to this house. I promise you there isn't. Please be on your way. Have you any idea how long it took to find this place? How many days I've gone without food or water? You're telling me to get lost? I don't know what you want from me. I'm happy to give you a little food, but please? Is there really no witch? There's no witch here. It's not but a legend. If she does exist, she doesn't live here. See, that means you're just an ordinary person. Person, just a girl. There ain't a thing you can do. No, get away from me. What are you doing? Why waste time waiting for you to get me a little grub when I can just take it all? I'm starving here. So hungry I could eat a human. You're about to commit a grievous sin, or are you not ashamed to act in defiance of God? God? I believed in God, but I come begging for a witch. A witch? I don't fear him. I sure as hell don't fear people. Who's gonna show up at a house in the middle of nowhere? Who's gonna call me out? Who's gonna stop me? No one, that's who. I like how they're using it's like, ooh is a name. Ooh, that's ooh. Is ooh gonna stop me? Nah, that's ooh. No one's gonna stop me. No one's gonna offer me salvation. There's a thought. Ruined, so before I kill you. What are you doing? There's other people here. The white-haired girl lay pinned to the floor beneath the yelling bandit, pleading for help with her ruby eyes. As soon as Michael grasped the situation, he tossed his candlestick aside and leapt for the man. The candlestick gave a sharp clang when it hit the floor. The impact extinguished the flame, bringing the mansion to near perfect darkness. Something glinted in the bandit's hand, and then, without hesitation, he thrust it at Michael. Michael. Ah, how stupid you must be to come at me unarmed. In his hand, the man held a knife, its tip dripping with Michael's blood. Red spilled from the gash in his arm, the blow growing heavier with each passing moment. You're the only other person here by the looks of it, eh? Perfect, I'll take you both out. You don't appear to know whose house you tried to break into. What are you on about? Regret your ignorance to your very last breath. You're messed in the head, you madman. Hey, stay the hell back. Take one more step and... I inherited the witch's curse. Let go. Michael clutched the man's face in one hand. The man raised his knife to strike back, but... What's happening? The strength drained from his fingers, the knife falling to the floor. The man writhed in Michael's grip. My face! I can't breathe! Leave this place immediately, though you won't get far afflicted with my curse. And he's gone? Helpless to fight back, nay, helpless to even consider fighting back, the bandit fled from the mansion in terror. In his wake, only the white-haired girl and a bleeding Michael remained. I just saw a man's life drained from him. His face withering away, sight completely dry. I didn't doubt him, but dear God, that was quite disturbing for you, I'm sure. No, not at all. It's my fault anyway. I hadn't been so careless. Oh, your arm. We need to get that wrapped up. Please do not touch me. You mustn't touch me. The wound is hardly fatal. It's my fault. I'm so sorry. Not a degree of blame. A degree of blame falls on me for saying nothing. Next time someone comes to the door, let me know. Sorry. Please, you don't need to apologize. Well, yes. For once, I'm actually proud of myself. Proud I could use this terrible ability of mine to do something more than just take a life. Protect someone I care about. Well, like I said, don't apologize. Hey, thank you. Michael? Glad you're here. I care about you too. Thank you. Had the flame of Michael's candle not gone out when he threw it to the floor, he would have seen a heartfelt smile on the white girl's face, and she would have seen a flush of red and an awkward smile on Michael's normally blank face. He also might have seen a little glimmer on her cheek, where a few drops of his blood had landed. But alas, they had no light. The collapse of their happiness came slowly and gradually. Perhaps it was because she touched his blood instead of his skin, but the deterioration of the white-haired girl's health crept along at a relaxed pace. The life was not sucked out of her in the blink of an eye as it had been from the bandit. She merely grew progressively less and less healthy. Amidst her physical decay, she was bestowed with one blessing. Her beauty remained untouched. But as far as blessings went, surely there were others she could have been granted. Kind of funny too, considering they can't see anything as they're in the dark most of the time. Could God have not have picked something a little better for her? By the time the two of them realized what was happening, it was already too late. The white-haired girl had grown so weak she could hardly leave her bed. Yes. Oh, you're there. I am. Thank goodness. I can't see very well anymore. Did this happen? I thought I saved you, but no, I did the exact opposite. Oh, please don't talk that way. You did save me that day. You're on the cusp of death now. It's my fault. Because this curse I bear. How could this happen? Why did it have to happen? What am I? Why was I given this body? Michael. Can I ask you a favor? Go ahead. Stay with me, please. As much as you can until the end. I was going to do as much anyway. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy, Michael. Happier than I've ever been. And I mean that. You didn't just save my life. You saved me. I've been saved. But only me. I wonder how he'll handle things when I'm gone. If only I hadn't opened the door that day. I wouldn't be leaving him all alone. We could be happy together for even longer. Hold my hand. I think it's probably safe now. I will not. I can't touch you. If I do, I might take what remains of your life. Take your beauty away, force you to die hideous. Can't touch you. Here. It hurt. On his way back to the washroom several days later, Michael heard muffled voices. Having trouble making out what they were saying, but he could tell it was several men and they were outside the front door. In fact, he could hear them at all through the heavy door, meant they were probably shouting quite loudly. An indescribable sense of uneasiness came over him. Dread. He drew nearer to the door and focused on the voices on the other side. They grew clearer enough for him to make out what the men were saying. Everything's in place. We're ready to kill this witch now. Definitely the place that half-dead bandit says she was in this mansion. And well, no matter what we find in there, we kill it. Could be a child for all I care. That doesn't change anything. Kill the witch. Kill the witch. Kill the witch. Kill the witch. What he heard beyond the door was a group of men shouting for the death of the witch. In that moment, Michael regretted his decision to let the bandit go free and not watch over him until the moment of his demise. He must have made his way down to the village in search of help, where he revealed what he had found in the mansion. Damn it. Too late. Regret would solve nothing. He could neither stop the villagers from raiding the house, nor could he stop the white-haired girl from dying to the effects of his curse. He was helpless to do anything. The gears of his fate had locked him into a path of tragedy and were turning mercilessly onwards. The men began trying to break down the door with what sounded like a battering ram. While the first strike was not enough to breach the barrier, it was still quite powerful. He was certain it wouldn't hold for long. Michael's mind raced. Was there anything he can do about the predicament? How could he escape from the corner he'd been backed into? Despite his possessing inhuman powers, he'd be powerless against a full mob of adult men. The villagers almost certainly came armed as well. A weak voice came from behind him. Aghast, he spun around to find the white-haired girl stumbling towards him. He breathed heavily, leaning against the columns for support. What are you doing out here? You'll only worsen your condition by exerting yourself. I had a sinking feeling. I heard noises on my way here. Seems I brought all my misfortune upon you. Don't say that. If I hadn't come here, this never would have happened. You never would have been in any danger. Please, Michael, hand me over to the men outside. Absolutely not. I will do no such thing. They're here for the witch, aren't they? I'm guessing they're the same people who were chasing me before. The village had a poor harvest this year, I hear. Like the village in the legend. They believe it's the witch's curse. But you're not a witch. You need someone to fill the role, though, so please, hand me over and escape on your own. I could never. Please, Michael. I'm the one who's cursed, not you. You want me to hand you over? What would I have left then? Nothing. Not a thing. I would have nothing. After so long, I finally found someone who isn't afraid of me, someone who won't run. I have no interest in a world that would take you from me. Let me live alone once more. Hell with such a world. Would you be willing to die with me? If that's what you wish, then stay with me till the end. I probably wanted to hear that just as much as him. Not probably, I did. I wanted to have someone at my side as much as him. It's so lonely not having anyone. To live alone, die alone. Not have anyone watching over you. For no one to even know you're dead. I simply wanted someone to tell me they're here for me. Be honest, be there, to hold my hand. How wonderful it would be. The sense of utter relief it would bring. Be enough to cast away all the pain. To allow me to accept all our suffering. Please, tell me you'll... Michael and the white-haired girl chose to spend their final moments at the top of the observation tower. They could hear the crash of the battering ram against the door, the shouts of the men, and their stomping feet. But despite all that, the ray of light shining through the little window was as beautiful as always. The room's air of serenity remained unimpeached. After the long climb to the tower, the white-haired girl was terribly out of breath. Michael considered several times offering her his hand, but the possibility that doing so might rob her of the last scrap of life stayed his hand. Sounds like they broke down the door. I'm glad we made it up here. We did. Sorry for asking this of you. Don't be. I would have chosen here for my final moments as well. The one place in this mansion with any sunlight. The one place I can get a good look at you. Thank you. I'm truly glad I was able to end up here. I was able to meet you. More than anything, you said you cared about me. I managed to become an essential part of your life. You even need to ask. Would be here otherwise. This one's actually not too bad. I think it started out better. I think it started out good, and it hasn't gotten worse. The pitch isn't too bad. I feel the same way as you, I'm sure of it. The two of us are more similar than you probably care to admit. Can I ask you one more thing? Go on. Embrace me. If this is to be the end, be my last chance. But I don't want it to end without having been able to touch you. Don't refuse me this, Michael. Please. Just do it, please. I won't keep you waiting long. Thank you. Truth is, I always wanted this. I always dreamed of being able to hold you. I dreamed of it. Thank you. So very. Still so beautiful. What a cruel joke. Did you not have given us some other miracle? One that would allow us both to survive? Where are you? Where do you get off to? I can't find her, damn it. There's some stairs over here. They lead up. Beneath the single ray of light, the white-haired girl lay completely still. Not even a frail sigh escaped her closed lips. She remained as gorgeous as ever. It was as though she had simply fallen asleep in the sunlight. Looking down upon her, Michael determined to do one thing. I won't allow anyone to sully this sight. He gave a fleeting glance back at her pristine corpse, opened the door, and stepped through it alone. He'd protect the room where she lay. Hey, there's someone up here. So this is where you've been hiding, you infernal witch. Wait, that's not a girl. The raucous sound of their footsteps rang up from below. Shortly thereafter, the men themselves came into view. As he expected, they were heavily armed. He glowered at them, sucked in a deep breath, and shouted at the top of his lungs, I am the witch you seek. I have inherited her curse, and it is I who brings calamity upon you. But he's a man or woman, it doesn't matter. Death to anyone who has ties to the witch. Cleanse the earth of all impurity. Kill him, kill him. Michael did not flinch at the sight of the men. He stood unyielding between them and the door. He did not flinch when they raised their weapons against him, nor when they pierced his body. Die and take your curse with you. I have no need for this life any longer. It's all yours. I am cursed to kill even that which I wish to protect. But at the very least, I can protect one thing before my life is. Not even one of you will leave this place. Wither and die by my curse. The blood spilling from his skewered body flowed down the stairs, down and down like a little river, soaking the feet of every man who'd stormed the mansion. This is the last thing he saw before the final grains of life slipped between his fingers, which brought a faint smile to his lips. Huh. Neither of them expected what happened next, though. For God has a most twisted sense of humor. The white-haired girl had not miraculously passed away without being robbed of her beauty. Of course not. Why am I still alive? She had rather not passed away at all. Quite cruel of him, was it not? Michael? Where have you gone, Michael? Michael? I smell blood. Or had he allowed her to die, she would not have been made to witness the scene that awaited her. No, no. And I'm sure you know just what it was she laid her eyes upon in that moment. The ravaged corpse of her beloved. A torrent of blood streaming down, down, down the spiral staircase. And the sickening stench it raised. No, why? And this was not the only body. The villagers who assaulted the mansion had been subjected to his curse. Their life drained from their withered shells. Why did this? Michael, why? Why am I the only one alive? It's a question I can't answer either. Perhaps his curse did not affect those he loved as terribly as cruel as that might be. I can't say. But you said we'd go together. Or without you has no meaning. Had she actually expended her life in the room at the top of the tower, perhaps this tale could have had a happy ending. She would at least be able to have the man she loved at her side till the very last moments upon this earth. That was not what transpired. She had survived, been left utterly alone. I felt a profound pity for the miserable girl, so I called out to her. Would you like to see him once more? What? I have the power to help you meet him again. Who's there? Where are you? You know what they call this mansion. So who do you suppose remains on these grounds? No way. You're from the legend? You actually exist? Now I ask you a simple question. Would you like to see him again? The witch grants people's wishes but at a price. I said I wouldn't ask for her assistance if I met her. But it's all changed now that I've lost him. If it's truly possible, then yes, I want to see him, but bring him back to life. Regrettably, I cannot directly meddle in the forces of life and death, for I can guarantee you this. Your reconstruction. Reconstruction. Correct. To ensure you remain as yourself in future lives, and are not reborn as someone else, your body and mind shall be reconstructed, as shall his. If you sincerely wish to reunite with one another, if you genuinely need each other in your lives, you'll eventually meet again. All I can promise you is eternal reconstruction. What you make of it is up to you. You want to see him again, don't you? You want to hear his voice again, don't you? You want to feel his hand upon your cheek once more, don't you? If that's what you want, you must remain who you are. If you're simply reborn, you wouldn't be you. There wouldn't be any point now, would there? And he is. Make up your mind quickly. I won't wait long. I want to see him again. As you wish, sweet little girl. I'll grant you both eternal reconstruction. Pray with all my heart you can attain true happiness. Shortly thereafter, the white-haired girl took her own life. She decided she had nothing to gain by remaining in the present time, and that in order to reunite with Michael, she needed to make her way to her next life. And thus the mansion was left bereft of a master to travel slowly through the ages until someone came along to give it life once more. But an unfathomable amount of time had passed, and the two still have yet to reunite. Have they, Master? You know who you are now, do you not? You remember everything now, do you not? You were present in every single era, the reason for which is as I described in the previous tale. Because you yearned to be reunited with someone. That person never showed up in any era. Dear Michael. Or me to you, having no memory of any of them. Live those lives with other men? Oh wait, my earlier prediction was correct? The person in the mansion we are playing as, the master, is, oh, okay. My earlier prediction was correct, that we were living I think that was last stream. I was suggesting, are we the white-haired woman? Is it any surprise misfortune befell those errors then? The door swung closed, but rather than outside, you and the maid were inside the dull, monochrome room at the top of the observation tower. The awe-inspiring ray of light shone through not the lone window high upon the stone wall, but wrapped in a curious impenetrable darkness, you both stood alone in the room. The maid wore a gentle but brittly cold smile as she looked straight at you. Not your fault misfortune befell you. The only force to blame for that is fate. You were always so kind, so pure of heart. You had boundless trust for others and the goodness of people. You were the very image of all that is right. There's no greater misfortune than someone as pure and beautiful as you, being mercilessly thrown into the grinding gears of tragedy, again and again. Still pity you for everything you had to go through. Poor, poor soul. You must be utterly exhausted, constantly betrayed, the man you were waiting for never appearing. After so long, your spirit, worn down to the bone, you lost any and all awareness of who you even were. Who were you hoping to find wandering into this illusory mansion, cut off from the rest? You and I are the only ones here. The man you seek is no found. Have you still not figured it out? Allow me to tell you everything. I am the cursed witch, Morgana, who haunts this mansion. And you were the tragic plaything of fate, the white-haired girl named Giselle. Am I calling you master confused? I suppose it did. My earlier prediction was that we were the white-haired girl, or us, the protagonist in this thing, were the white-haired girl. And they did get me where, let's see. They did suggest that I was wrong. Right? When I said it's not your fault, misfortune befell you, I'm like, oh, is she the only fortune to blame is fate? I was pulled off track by that one. That suddenly we were back to being a guy. Or we were like the male protagonist of one of the stories, possibly all of them, which would have been unexpected, but okay. So yeah, I suppose not the phrase master did lead me to question it, as it left doubt in my mind. So yes, I suppose so. If so, then I apologize. My habit of calling the master or mistress of the house master is quite deeply ingrained. Yes, that means precisely what you think it does. But I have accepted you as my new master. I wish for you to remain here. Stay with me. Let's put an end to this journey. Do not worry, there's nothing to fear. You're simply going to step outside the river of time. Nothing unpleasant will ever happen to you. I'll be here with you for all eternity, giving you my utmost care. You'll not have to wait for anyone. Forget about the man you once sought. Sure, you'll find happiness. Please do it for me. I've been waiting for you for so very long. I wanted nothing more than to see you again. You are continually stolen away from me. Despite my sincerest desires to spend my days with you. That's why I wanted you to recall everything. Surely you'd not willingly repeat the same fate if you knew all the pain that caused you to suffer so far. Spend eternity with me. This gentle embrace of joy. Maid extended her hand for you. Her fingers brushing up against yours were as cold as ever. But her breath tickled your skin pleasantly, and her sweet words rang in your ears, filling you with warmth. You thought back on your time with her in the mansion. She had indeed always treated you with great compassion, and nothing she said seemed to be a lie. So you pondered, what were you to do? Prompt? Yeah. Alright. Accept, reject, there's still more to be done. We'll click there is still more to be done. Something seemed off, not only with the story she just told her and with you yourself. Assuming everything she said was the truth. Which or not, my mind is made up. Which will strike you first? I wonder. Regret? Or the curse? Seems to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real, very much so. Not a legend nor a fairy tale. The witch is me. I was Michael the witch. That's right. It wasn't the white-haired girl who claimed to be the witch. And that wasn't all. You need to reclaim your old self no matter. You do if you're sincerely prepared to do that. Be wary of the tale that comes now. Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that, a fabrication. None of your questions had been answered. You still didn't know who the painting was? What had taken place so long ago that caused the mansion to summon people to it? You didn't even know who you were, for that matter. There's still more to be done. You still had to find the truth. You needed to find someone. That much was certain. What was the story the maid had told correct? About whom? If it was... What about her? That she's been here for a long time. What's her actual backstory? What about the woman whose name you couldn't say? The one who so cheerfully called you master? We agreed we'd live together, just not in the same house. We got plenty of time to add more to the... You don't know about this backstory at all. Hope you can make your own list about me too. We don't remember this scene at all, right? The other scenes were... The other 3 scenes are references to the stories we experienced, but this one is not. The beginning, after all, we got a long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other now. There must be a different ending, right? You must say her name, you must take her hand, and make her smile once again. You mustn't reclaim your old self. Dark, so dark. Dark again. Dark. Darkness. Constantly dark. Constantly engulfed in darkness. You threw it away every time. Break out of this darkness. I'll give you a world that's not so cruelly. I must escape. Take her hand. Because that's... Then I came here. Oh, I've got a wonderful idea. You can curse them. But I must reclaim... We can think of new ways to torture them. Oh, I'll be happier if you stay here. Just think about it. Stay here in this world. You'll be right at home. Best I get for you. Nothing more. It's not where I belong. No matter how much a world of darkness may suit, you'll never be able to do it. I must reclaim my truth. Reclaim myself. Brilliant. You have an idea how terrible a decision that is? You have an idea why I fabricated that story? It's all for you. Stay here. That was also the shortest story I think we've had. Most of the stories were about like 3 to 4 hours, and we are at the 2.5 hour mark or so, right? I'm at around 2.5 hours. Stay here, stay right. Darkness suits you better. Remember what someone told you not long ago? You could handle the stories because they weren't your own? You're able to bear tragedies because they happened to others? That had been your suffering. If the secrets you kept buried away for so long came out, you couldn't possibly have endured it. Damn, we got so many choices. You're a sharp wagon. I'm sure you intend to keep those secrets tucked away forever. You really think I'm gonna let you do that, though? Whatever you try to hide, I'll make sure your beloved hears every last detail. How foolish can you be? Despite all my encouragement, you still insist on getting your old self back. What do you have to gain from that? Not but flimsy, ugly tragedy awaits you down this path. Damn, I'm gonna decide to reclaim myself today. Don't get your hopes up, my dear. Nothing for you here. You have nothing. I'm just offering you a place by my side. You should take it. There's no salvation for you anywhere. For all we know, the accepting the offering might actually turn us into the painting. No salvation for you. Not at all. Anywhere. From anyone, ever. I don't know. What do we think we're gonna do today? Probably try to reclaim ourselves. She has long since lost grip on reality, and you think there's anything you can do for her now? Despite having repeatedly failed to even regain yourself? Well, I suppose if you're gonna be stubborn, as much as I don't want to, I have to place a curse on your soul. Were we not already cursed at this point? That's right. The white-haired girl was never at the mansion. Still a story left untold. What? The fourth door was a lie. What do you mean? It's not some sweet little tragedy. The story you told was pure fantasy. No, that was the truth. That's where it all began. So what happened? You spent innumerable years lost until you showed up here and... What? You reach out grasping for it. You pull yourself in. Your silhouette, which has been hazy until now, begins to take form. Your mind, your consciousness, your heart, soul, and your body. Who are you? The veil in your mind dissipates. A crack forms in the shell encasing you, and then another. The invisible shackles chaining your spirit fall to the floor. Reality fades in atop the distinct foggy world around you. Bony fingers appear before your eyes. Long hair. Your voice. No. My voice. My body. My fingers. My arms are frail, my joints weak. But despite my resemblance to the white-haired girl, I am not her. This is who I am. I've finally reclaimed myself. We weren't waiting for the white-haired girl. We're waiting for me. And that's exactly why I came here. I have no idea what you're talking about. I've always waited for the white-haired. There was never a white-haired girl. There was only... This time I must say her name. There was only Giselle. There was only you. I am Giselle? No, I'm not Giselle. I'm a servant of the house. I'm the witch, the cause. You are not a witch. Witch is someone else. Why do you insist you're the witch? What changed you so much? Shadowy figure in the master bedroom. That was her. A glimpse into her past. I'm sure this is Giselle, but why is she so different? What happened to the spark she used to have? Where did the light she once shone on the world go? To remember. I must remember. This can't end until I have. This is no longer a story. What I need to face is my past and her heart. She's not even present in the story she made up. Everything about it had been changed. The past I lived and the wounds she bore were more grounded in harsh reality, not wrapped in a film of fairy tale magic. That was the final tale. It was all true. That's how it happened. It was a bittersweet story. No, how can you not see this? It was a beautiful tragedy. Was there even a scrap of humanity in it? Behind the three preceding doors, there had been a constant thread of ugliness and conflicting motivations. But there was hardly a trace of that behind the fourth door. The characters felt like nothing more than characters. Let me think. Let me think about this for a second. A trace, conflicting motives leading to trouble. We had... Well, let's think of the male character in every arc. Okay. First arc. He doesn't seem very torn in the first arc. Second arc. Yeah, he's torn between his madness and his maybe interest in the white-haired girl. Okay. Third story. He claims to love someone, but is the worst at showing it. And abuses them horribly. Until they flee. I don't know, man. I guess there were antagonists. But they had the antagonists had motives. The antagonists had motives that weren't necessarily directly tied to it. Like we had the treacherous friend in Act 3. We had someone else looking for the character in 2. And what was 1? The sister, conflicting motives. And then in 4, there was just crazy townspeople that didn't really have a background who were just evil. I guess maybe if you said they didn't have a background, but on the other hand, I feel like I guess if you're the maid and the white-haired girl, you're the maid, you know. there were conflicting motives. The white-haired girl's perspective, there's only bad people. She doesn't necessarily know about the conflicting motives for most of them. Maybe? Yeah, okay. I think there were definitely people with opposed motives that actually had a motive, even if the motive was, I'm crazy as shit. Because, I mean, we had people being, like, we had, like, your yandere sister being a yandere as, like, a motive, I guess? As a conflicting motive. Where, I guess you could say the motive was, like, well, for most of them, it was, for the first three, it was something semi-reasonable, I guess? I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but okay. And for the other character, the villager characters had no motive or really any presence in the scene. You could say it was shallow. It was more shallow and felt slightly more fabricated. Okay. Is that what you want to turn it into? What you want our history to become? Our history? But I don't remember anything at all. I don't remember anything. I don't want to. I don't need a past or a future. All I have left inside me is uncertainty. No. That's not my name. Please stop trying to confuse me. I'll fight with things the way they are. It means I don't have to hurt. That's all I want. Please let me keep being the maid. Let me keep being a guide, not some foolish girl. Is that what she honestly desires? Does she want to cast aside her past for good? If so, then... interesting choice. Is it what she wants, or is she afraid? Hard to tell. It's also hard to tell sometimes what the game actually gives you. Oh. The thing is... this is one of those options where you look at it and it's like, if I click I won't force her, it's either going to be like, oh, okay, you don't have to do this, and then you get like some bad editing where she's like, I guess we'll move on from that. Yep, I'm not Giselle. It'll either be, I'm not gonna force you to do this, but you probably should. Well, then I guess I'm not Giselle. Moving on. Or it'll be, I'm not gonna force you, but you really have to do this. Come on, you can do this. You're Giselle. And then boom, she accepted. It's like either it's a false choice or it's an actual choice, but you don't know whether it's what the case is either. The first game I noticed this happening a lot in was actually like Deus Ex. Yeah, it was Human Revolution. I had that problem in Human Revolution so many times. Like, I started saving before I talked to literally anyone in Human Revolution. Because, like, I'd always pick a choice that looked sensible, and then suddenly he'd do something completely off the rails with the choice, and I'd be like, excuse me, reload. It wouldn't even necessarily be a bad choice. It would just be like, why did you... Great. Now I'm a little bit more on... Do the one that railroads you in the direction you want to go. Don't be subtle. No matter what she says, I know I'm right. If she doesn't reclaim her old self, I'll never get to hear her say my name again. Say my name. I know I'm being selfish here, but I can't do that. If you're afraid of what we might find, then we can remember together. I haven't gotten everything back yet myself, so let's open the real door together. No other doors to open? There is one that can only open by our hands, because it exists between the two of us. Not a door with physical form, but the door to your heart. I grasp her unnaturally cold hand, a hand that long ago once had warmth. If she can't lead the way, then I have to. I must pick up the pieces of our erased history so we can both reclaim ourselves. Find the actual truth. No matter what we may uncover, I won't not let go of this hand. I mustn't. Darkness falls over the world around us. The floor upon which we'd been standing flickers out of existence, sending us dropping into an endless abyss. This dark pit is her door, her history, her heart. Let's try this one more time. It's not a sweet story by any means. It's a story of betrayal, anger, hatred, cause each other pain. Ooh, I should also point out that she wouldn't want to show her own story because she said it's easy when it's something you're not connected to, something that's not personal. She'd avoid her own backstory without being forced, right? Cause each other pain, but that's the road we traveled. And down that road lies all the answers. The fourth door. Into the fifth door. 1099 for real this time. We got. No, I should have been more suspicious, okay? I feel like they did an alright job getting me. I should have been more suspicious, as I was just hoping we'd get a really good story. I was not suspicious enough. They got me, right? So, in door 4, one of my critiques of stories 1, 2, and 3 were all very consistent. We're all very consistent. I did not think, I even commented on 4, Ring 4, that the hook was much better for 4, and it was immediately interesting. Whereas the other ones, it took a while to get interesting, and it was mostly exciting because, like, at the climactic point. But something I didn't say in this video was in 1, 2, and 3, one of the key complaints I had was that the drama seemed to just, like especially in the first one, it's like it cut off right after the climax, and there's like no resolution. And it kind of did. It kind of like did a similar thing in 2 and in 3. Like in each of those stories, it just was like, oh well, bad thing happened. Oh, story over. And you're like, oh, like the bad thing happened, and the story ends, and you're like, I feel like a story would, with a proper ending, would have gone like a chapter further, or like a couple scenes more at least, but it didn't. And I did not have this complaint about chapter 4. Chapter 4 ended very well. Like the fake chapter 4 ended very well, which it shouldn't have if we were in keeping with the way they were writing these narratives. So I think that was like a good clue. I'm enjoying the story though, so I'm just here to enjoy the story, here to have a good time. We can do retroactive analysis later on and realize, oh yeah, we made some mistakes. We could have done that slightly better. Oh well.